Welcome back to Crime Documentary Files. Today, we'll be diving into two deeply tragic cases that highlight a chilling truth. When someone develops a criminal mindset, even their own loved ones can become the target of their crimes. Everything began when a woman and her husband went out for a drive. However, along the way, they got into an argument, leading the woman to angrily step out of the car and vanish without a trace. 2 days later, the husband reported her missing at the local police station, hoping the authorities would help find his wife. But as the investigation unfolded, the police soon realized that the case was far more complicated than what the man had described. The incident took place in Chiba Prefecture, Japan. The central figure of this story is Yatani Maiko, born in 1988. She was an intelligent and lively woman. After graduating from Tokyo Women's University in 2010, 22-year-old Maiko started working at the Chiba Industrial Bank in Kashiwa City. It was during her time at the bank that she met Yatani Takahito, a man 6 years her senior. While working together, Takahito took great care of Maiko, and over time, they fell in love. In February 2012, the two got married. They settled down in the Nanbashi district of Kashiwa City, beginning a new chapter of their lives together. After 5 years of marriage, Maiko gave birth to a baby girl. To better care for their child, she decided to leave her job at the bank and became a stay-at-home mom. In the following years, their relationship seemed even sweeter. Maiko occasionally shared everyday moments on Facebook, and to friends and family, their marriage appeared to be a happy one. But was that really the case? Why did Maiko suddenly disappear without explanation? And what exactly happened on that fateful day? Now let's turn back the clock to March 6, 2018. It was a Tuesday when a visibly distressed man walked into the Kashiwa City police station in Chiba Prefecture. His name was Yatani Takahito, a 36-year-old employee at a local bank. He told the police that his wife, Maiko, had disappeared 2 days earlier. He had searched everywhere for her but couldn't find her, so he was now seeking the police's help. Hearing his report, the police asked him to provide a detailed account of how Maiko went missing. Takahito explained that 2 days ago, he and his wife had driven to visit their niece in a city 4 miles away from Kashiwa. On the way back, they had a minor argument, which led to Maiko angrily getting out of the car and heading toward a nearby convenience store. At the time, Takahito assumed that Maiko was just going to buy something to cool off and would return soon. He waited in the car for an hour, but she never came back. Thinking that she had gone somewhere to calm down, he decided to drive home alone to avoid further tension in their relationship. 2 days had passed, and not only had Maiko not returned, but Takahito had also been unable to reach her despite trying everything. Worried that she might have had an accident, he went to the police to report her disappearance. He also mentioned that their 1-year-old daughter was waiting for her mother at home, desperately hoping the police would find Maiko as soon as possible. After hearing the husband's report, the police immediately launched an investigation. Early the next morning, they went to the convenience store the husband had described to gather information. They showed a picture of Maiko to the store employees and asked if they had seen her shopping there on March 4th. However, every employee stated that they had not seen her in the store that day. To further verify Maiko's whereabouts, the police collected surveillance footage from the convenience store and the surrounding streets. After carefully reviewing all the footage, they discovered that a car had been parked near the store for an extended period on March 4th. Strangely, no one ever got out of the vehicle. The store's security footage also confirmed that Maiko had never entered the store that day, yet her husband insisted that she had. This discrepancy left the police deeply puzzled. Could she have simply vanished into thin air? That was impossible. Their suspicions gradually shifted toward the husband's testimony. Following Maiko's disappearance, her husband and family were extremely worried. They printed a large number of missing person flyers. The flyer described the missing woman as Yatani Maiko, 30 years old, between 4 feet 11 inches and 5 feet 1 inch tall, thin, with long black hair. It included a photo of Maiko, the location where she disappeared, and the clothes she was last seen wearing. Everything was listed in great detail. At the bottom of the flyer, only one contact was provided: Takahito's email address. The family distributed these missing person flyers to passers-by at major train stations, shopping centers, and busy streets. While handing out flyers in a missing person case was not unusual, the police noticed something odd. Normally, when a disappearance is reported to the police, the phone numbers of family members and law enforcement are included on the flyer, making it easy for the public to provide leads. However, this flyer contained no such contact information, only the husband's email address. This raised further suspicion about Takahito. Could he be involved in Maiko's disappearance? By March 9th, 5 days had passed since Maiko went missing. That day, the police went to the couple's apartment on the 10th floor of their building to investigate and gather clues. But when they stepped inside, they were shocked by what they saw. The floors were spotless. The furniture was pristine, not a single speck of dust anywhere. Even the kitchen had no trace of oil or residue. The police attempted to collect fingerprints from various surfaces that would typically retain them. However, they soon realized that the entire apartment had seemingly been completely wiped down. Not a single trace of fingerprints could be found. When questioned about this, Takahito offered an explanation. He claimed that Maiko suffered from extreme cleanliness obsession, to the point that she always wore sterile gloves when touching cabinets and household items, which, according to him, explained the absence of fingerprints. While his explanation seemed plausible, it was still highly unusual. How could someone live in a home and not leave a single fingerprint behind? Furthermore, Maiko never appeared in the convenience store's security footage that day. Yet Takahito never provided a reasonable explanation for this contradiction. Based on the evidence collected, the police believed that Takahito was lying. On March 12th, 8 days after Maiko's disappearance, authorities detained him, suspecting that he was involved and hoping he would reveal her whereabouts. 4 days into detention, unable to withstand the pressure from investigators, he confessed to a shocking truth. He admitted that his wife, Maiko, had been murdered, and the killer was none other than himself. To cover up the crime, he had lied to the police, claiming she had gone missing. Takahito revealed that he had planned Maiko's murder for a long time. On the day of the incident, he prepared a curry meal for her. Hidden in the food was a sleeping pill. Because of the strong aroma of the curry, the drug's taste and smell were completely masked, making it undetectable. After Maiko finished her meal, they decided to go for a drive together, and she agreed without hesitation. Before leaving, she dropped off their 1-year-old daughter at her parents' house, asking them to babysit. During the drive, Maiko fell asleep in the car, likely due to the effects of the sleeping pill. At around 3 p.m., Takahito drove to an isolated area. Once he ensured that no one was around, he pulled out a rope he had prepared in advance and strangled his wife to death. Afterward, he drove to his parents' home in Toride City, Ibaraki Prefecture, about 7.5 miles away. His parents' house was a standalone residence with an enclosed yard, making it the perfect place to dispose of the body. He then buried Maiko in the yard of his parents' home. Upon hearing this, the police suspected that his parents might have been involved, reasoning that such an act would have been difficult to carry out alone without raising suspicion. However, Takahito denied this, insisting that he had done everything by himself while his parents were away. Following his confession, the police searched the property and discovered Maiko's body buried in the yard of Takahito's parents' home in Toride City, Ibaraki Prefecture. Takahito was officially arrested and awaited trial. However, his testimony was inconsistent and several unanswered questions remained. The biggest question was, did someone else help him? Takahito claimed he had buried Maiko alone, but further investigation revealed that his father, Yatani Kazuo, worked outside the home on weekdays and was rarely present. Meanwhile, his mother, Yatani Emi, was battling cancer and never left the house. Additionally, his 90-year-old great-aunt also lived there and hardly ever went outside. If Takahito had truly acted alone, as he claimed, then the process of digging a grave, moving the body, and burying it would have required significant physical effort, time, and likely made noise. It was impossible for his family not to have noticed something. The police interrogated each family member. Eventually, his mother, Emi, admitted the truth. She stated that her son had accidentally killed Maiko while drunk, then returned home and told her everything. Wanting to protect him, she helped him bury Maiko's body in the yard. Further investigation into their communication records revealed a disturbing exchange between Takahito and his mother online, where they discussed preparing sleeping pills and needing a coffin. Confronted with undeniable evidence, Emi could no longer keep their secret. She finally confessed everything. After giving birth to their daughter in 2017, Maiko developed an extreme obsession with cleanliness. This condition caused her to compulsively repeat certain actions, such as washing her hands over and over again. Even if she had just cleaned or washed something, she would still continue scrubbing uncontrollably for extended periods. As Maiko's obsession worsened, she imposed strict cleanliness rules on her husband, Takahito. She required him to wear shoes indoors, use disposable gloves when touching furniture, and dress in traditional clothing when going outside. Upon returning home, he had to immediately remove his clothes, place his bag, phone, and other personal items in plastic bags, and never open them inside the house. If Takahito failed to follow her rules, she would punish him by forcing him to clean the entire house. Over time, living under these conditions became unbearable for him. He was already under immense stress at work, and when he came home, he faced even more pressure from Maiko. The more time he spent with her, the more miserable he felt. In May 2017, Takahito took Maiko to a psychiatric hospital, hoping doctors could treat her obsessive cleanliness disorder. After evaluation, doctors prescribed her a list of medications. In the following days, her condition gradually improved. However, by October 2017, Maiko's condition had worsened again, and she began losing her patience with everything. When breastfeeding, she would shout at their baby, demanding her to eat faster. While Takahito was at work, Maiko frequently called him, saying things like, "Just seeing our daughter makes me furious. Hurry up and come home. If you don't, I don't know what I might do to her." Terrified by her words, Takahito rushed home from work every time she called, living in constant fear. He wanted to take Maiko back to the hospital, but now she refused to go. Her condition continued to spiral out of control. Overwhelmed by stress from both work and home, Takahito himself became emotionally unstable, frequently lashing out for no reason. Eventually, he decided to see a doctor who diagnosed him with depression. Learning this only deepened his despair. He was fed up with everything. At some point, a dangerous thought crept into his mind. He wanted Maiko to disappear from this world. Once this idea took hold, he ran to his mother and confided in her about his dark intentions. His mother, Emi, was shocked and desperately tried to talk him out of it. She insisted that no matter what, he couldn't do such a thing. But perhaps out of love for her son, or maybe because she knew she was dying from cancer, she wanted to do something for him one last time. On the afternoon of March 2nd, 2018, 2 days before the murder, she told Takahito that his father was away for work and wouldn't be home. This meant they had a chance to dig a hole in the yard. After receiving the call, Takahito rushed back home. Together with his mother, they dug a grave in advance, covering it with random household items to conceal it. 2 days later, after Takahito murdered Maiko, he returned home and buried her in the yard, just as planned. On March 6th, he followed through with his staged report, going to the police to claim that Maiko had disappeared. To mislead the investigation and deceive the public, Takahito printed a large number of missing person flyers. Like any concerned family of a missing person, he and his mother actively distributed them everywhere, handing them out on the streets, creating the illusion that they were desperately searching for Maiko. But in reality, Maiko had been buried in their backyard all along. In reality, many people have said that after Maiko gave birth to their daughter, she quit her job completely to focus on taking care of the family. However, the moment she submitted her resignation letter was also the moment she lost her voice in the household. From that point on, all household chores and childcare fell solely on her shoulders, while her husband blindly obeyed his mother and left Maiko in a humiliating position. On social media, Maiko often vented about the struggles of raising a child alone, expressing her hope that her husband would help. But instead of supporting her, he spent his time drinking and sleeping in. She just wanted to enroll their daughter in daycare so she could return to work, but at times, she couldn't hold back her tears. On May 22, 2019, exactly 15 months after the crime, the case went to trial. In court, Takahito defended his actions, claiming that Maiko's mental state had worsened significantly and that she had shown harmful tendencies toward their daughter. He insisted that he killed her to protect their child. His defense attorney presented a medical certificate stating that Takahito suffered from a mental illness, arguing that his actions may have been beyond his control. As a result, they requested a corresponding sentence reduction. However, the prosecution strongly opposed this claim. They pointed out that there was no concrete evidence proving that Maiko had endangered their daughter's life. Furthermore, even if there were family conflicts, there were many peaceful solutions, yet Takahito deliberately orchestrated a murder. The prosecution argued that he saw killing his wife as a reasonable way to free himself from responsibility and live comfortably, which demonstrated a complete disregard for human life. On June 15, 2019, the court delivered its final verdict. Takahito was convicted of intentional homicide and sentenced to 15 years in prison. His mother received a 7-year prison sentence for aiding and abetting the crime. With this, justice was served. After the case came to light, Takahito's colleagues were in complete shock. He had once been a rising star at the bank, known for his politeness and professionalism. But now, he was a convicted murderer. The disgrace was unimaginable. Former co-workers recalled that Maiko had been the only one taking care of their daughter. Now the little girl had lost her mother, and with both her father and grandmother in prison, she was left without a family. The thought of it was heartbreaking. That concludes the first case, but don't go anywhere. The second case is about to begin right now. On the afternoon of May 4th, 2012, in Hualien, Taiwan, a violent storm raged as heavy rain and strong winds battered the coastline. Despite the harsh weather, a fisherman named Zhuo went to the beach near Nuwa Temple to cast his line. As he prepared to fish in the pouring rain, he noticed a body floating in the water. Overcome with shock and fear, his legs trembled as he immediately called the police. When officers arrived at the scene, they discovered that the body was bloated and in an advanced state of decomposition. The victim was a woman, with her hands and feet bound and a steel wire wrapped around her neck, clear evidence that she had been murdered. However, after being submerged in seawater for an extended period, the body had become unrecognizable. So, who was the victim? The police searched the body, but found no identification documents. Her face was too damaged to recognize, and her fingerprints were useless due to prolonged exposure to water. A full review of Taiwan's missing persons reports yielded no matches. With no immediate leads, investigators pursued 2 key clues. 1. The victim's clothing. 2. Her dentures. The victim was wearing a jacket with the brand name Lan Ling. Police contacted the manufacturer and retrieved over 3,000 purchase records. However, after combing through the data, they discovered that this type of clothing was widely sold, available through TV shopping channels, fashion stores, and street markets, making it incredibly difficult to trace. Even after broadcasting images of the victim's clothing on television, no useful leads emerged. As for the dentures, they were an outdated model, commonly used by people in their 50s or 60s in Taiwan at the time. However, with countless dental clinics operating across the country, searching for the dentist who made them was like finding a needle in a haystack. After numerous checks, the investigation hit a dead end. After 2 months of fruitless searching, the police decided to form a bold hypothesis based on small but crucial details. The victim's jacket was adorned with sequins. Her underwear was fashionable. Her overall style was trendy and sophisticated. The knots used to bind her were highly skilled and professional. This led police to wonder, could the victim have been a karaoke hostess from a small port town? Perhaps she had been killed over a dispute and thrown into the sea from a boat or dock. However, after an extensive search of coastal areas, no new leads emerged. With mounting pressure to solve the case, investigators re-examined the missing persons list in greater detail. This time, they discovered a crucial report. At 12:47 a.m. on May 2nd, 2 days before the body was found, the Guangming police station in Beidou, Taipei received a missing persons report. The person filing the report was Tai Jin-jing, who stated that his wife, Chen Yi, had disappeared on May 1st. Jin-jing's description of his wife's physical characteristics and clothing closely matched the unidentified body. This immediately caught the police's attention. Following Jin-jing's address, they tracked down an unlicensed dentist who had made Chen Yi's dentures. At first, he denied any involvement, but after police explained the legal consequences, he confessed. The dentures found on the victim were indeed his work. For final confirmation, investigators compared DNA samples from Chen Yi's toothbrush and hair with the DNA from the recovered body. The results confirmed that the victim was Chen Yi. With this breakthrough, the mystery of her identity was solved. But a much bigger question remained. How did Chen Yi, a Taipei resident, end up brutally murdered and dumped on the shores of Hualien? Investigators learned that Jin Jing was a former Air Force serviceman, while Chen Yi worked as a real estate agent. The couple owned 3 houses and 2 plots of land in Taipei, indicating a comfortable financial situation. Both of them were devout followers of Yiquan Tao, a religious sect, and were known to be peaceful, well-off, and friendly with their neighbors. So why did Chen Yi meet such a horrific fate? Jin Jing and Chen Yi had a son and a daughter. After their son tragically passed away from leukemia, they were left with only their 21-year-old daughter, Tai Shing Shing. However, there was something strange. Shing Shing had also gone missing. According to Jin Jing, on May 1st, the day Chen Yi disappeared, the couple originally planned to volunteer at a hospital together. However, that morning, Chen Yi told him that their daughter, Shing Shing, had invited her to go look at a house. So Jin Jing went to volunteer alone. That night, when he returned home, he found the door locked from the inside. After that, he was unable to reach his wife or daughter. During their investigation, police discovered that a call had been made from a public phone to Chen Yi's home that day. The phone booth was located right below their apartment building. After tracing the call, authorities confirmed that the caller was none other than Shing Shing. This puzzled the investigators. Shing Shing had both a cell phone and a house key. Why would she need to use a public phone to call her mother? Under police interrogation, Tai Jin-jing finally revealed his suspicion. He believed that the person who killed Chen Yi was their own daughter, Shing Shing. According to the police, Chen Yi and Jin Jing deeply cared for their daughter, supporting her financially multiple times when she was unemployed. So why would Shing Shing commit such a horrific crime? The story began with a man that Tai Shing Shing met in New Zealand. When Shing Shing was young, her parents were preoccupied with caring for her terminally ill brother, so she was raised by her grandmother. Lacking parental love, she became rebellious. In 2000, at the age of 18, Shing Shing voluntarily applied to study abroad. Her parents, believing that a change of environment might benefit her, agreed to send her to New Zealand. However, instead of focusing on her studies, Shing Shing became involved with a man who dragged her into a dark spiral, Zheng Zhuzhong. Zheng Zhuzhong was her English tutor, 19 years older than her. Like Jin Jing, he was also a former military officer. Perhaps due to her loneliness in a foreign country, Shing Shing fell in love with Jai Zhong, her first love. When Chen Yi found out, she strongly opposed the relationship, not just because of the significant age gap, but more importantly, because she believed that Ji Zhong was a terrible influence. She saw him as someone who wasn't guiding Shing Shing on the right path, and whose character was deeply questionable. On October 27, 2010, 20-year-old Shing Shing returned to Taiwan with Ji Zhong. With no stable jobs or permanent residence, the couple struggled financially. Out of pity for her daughter's hardships, Chen Yi gave them 300,000 new Taiwan dollars. However, rather than using the money wisely, Shing Shing and Zhu Zhong squandered it recklessly. Once they had spent it all, Ji Zhong manipulated Shing Shing into asking her mother for more, this time demanding 1 million new Taiwan dollars. When Chen Yi refused, the two engaged in a heated argument that would later lead to a tragic outcome. After uncovering this dark past, police became even more suspicious of Shing Shing. They intensified their manhunt for Shing Shing and Zhizhong and eventually found them inside an internet cafe. Despite her mother being missing for days, Shing Shing showed no concern. Instead, she was casually playing video games with her boyfriend. That wasn't all. During their background check, police discovered that both Shing Shing and Zhizhong were already wanted for theft and fraud. Authorities separated the two for questioning, but they remained eerily silent, as if they had rehearsed their responses. When officers showed Shing Shing a photo of her mother, she showed no reaction whatsoever. After several hours of interrogation, Shing Shing finally broke her silence, but all she said was, "I want a hamburger." Later, when pressed further and backed into a corner, she suddenly accused her father, Tai Jinjing, of murdering her mother. While investigators struggled to extract a confession, the physical evidence led to a major breakthrough. When police arrested Shing Shing, they found Chen Yi's ID card, driver's license, and personal seal in her possession. Through surveillance footage and receipts, authorities confirmed that Shing Shing and Zhizhong had been in Hualien between May 1st and May 4th, the exact time frame when Chen Yi's body was dumped. Even more damning evidence surfaced when police found a rental locker receipt on Shing Shing. Using this, investigators located a storage locker the couple had rented on Chengdi Road, Section 4 in Taipei. Inside the locker, police discovered handcuffs, rope, black duct tape, steel wire, and wire cutters. When Chen Yi's body was found, her neck was wrapped in steel wire and her hands and feet were bound. A forensic examination confirmed that the items in the locker matched the marks on Chen Yi's body. Police also uncovered that on April 30th, Tai Shing Shing and Zhizhong had rented a car in Shilin. The owner of the rental company clearly remembered them because when they returned the car, it was stained with blood and had a terrible stench. Even after months of deep cleaning, the odor lingered. When questioned, Shing Shing and Zhizhong gave an absurd explanation. "We bought a fresh fish in Hualien and planned to bring it home, but we got distracted and forgot about it. The fish went bad, and its juices leaked all over the car." The rental company believed their story and had the entire vehicle thoroughly cleaned. By the time police examined it, all evidence had been destroyed by cleaning chemicals. At this point, the investigation had stalled. Then, something completely unexpected forced Shing Shing to confess the truth. On December 21st, Taiwan's Ministry of Justice approved the execution of 6 death row inmates. The news shook Shing Shing to the core. While in prison, a fellow female inmate surnamed Zhang repeatedly warned her, "If you don't confess, you'll get the death penalty." Terrified of being executed, Shing Shing finally broke down and decided to reveal the truth about murdering her own mother, hoping for a lighter sentence. Shing Shing and Zhizhong harbored deep resentment after Chen Yi refused to lend them 1 million new Taiwan dollars. They decided to trick Chen Yi into giving them money, and if that failed, they would kill her. On March 23, 2012, about a month and a half before Chen Yi disappeared, Shing Shing and Zhizhong hired a makeup artist in Taipei. They lied, claiming to be university professors who needed to dress up as a school principal for an anniversary event. They showed the artist a photo of Chen Yi, falsely saying that she was the principal they needed to impersonate. The makeup artist, suspecting nothing, spent several hours transforming Shing Shing. Once the disguise was complete, Shing Shing and Zhizhong fled without paying the 8,000 new Taiwan dollars makeup fee. Disguised as Chen Yi, Shing Shing attempted to withdraw money from the bank, but her deception was discovered, and the scheme failed. After this unsuccessful fraud attempt, the two con artists began plotting Chen Yi's murder. On April 30th, 2012, Shing Shing called her mother, inviting her to view a house. On May 1st, Chen Yi let her husband go volunteer alone while she stayed home waiting for her daughter. Around 1 p.m., Shing Shing and Zhizhong arrived at Chen Yi's house in a rental car. Shing Shing used a public phone to confirm that her mother was home alone, while Zhizhong brought their prepared murder tools inside. Chen Yi was visibly displeased upon seeing Zhizhong, and an argument broke out. She criticized him for being lazy and incapable of supporting himself. Enraged, Zhizhong tackled her to the ground and strangled her to death using the steel wire he had brought. Following their plan, Shing Shing and Jizhong wrapped Chen Yi's body in trash bags, a suitcase, and other items before carrying it down to the car's trunk. To cover their tracks, they forged a handwritten note in Chen Yi's handwriting and left it on the table. "I just received a call from a teacher who needs help. I'll be back late, maybe staying overnight. I lost my phone at the market today. I'll contact you when I have time." They drove to Hualien with Chen Yi's body. On the afternoon of May 3rd, near the Xinji Tunnel in Fengping, Hualien County, they dumped the body into the sea. Afterward, they continued their trip as if nothing had happened, traveling from Hualien to Taitung before returning to Taipei. While Shing Shing eventually confessed to everything, Jizhong remained uncooperative. From the moment he was arrested, he constantly caused trouble for the police. During interrogations, he frequently complained of severe headaches and demanded medical attention. However, after being taken to the hospital, doctors found no medical issues. Jizhong then tried shifting the blame onto Jin Jing, claiming that Chen Yi's husband had killed her. He even fabricated a seemingly plausible motive, stating that Chen Yi had complained about marital problems and frequent arguments with Jin Jing. However, Jin Jing had a solid alibi. He had been at the hospital volunteering at the time of the murder, with multiple witnesses confirming his whereabouts. Even after Shing Shing had admitted guilt, Jizhong remained calm and continued to spin wild accusations. He claimed that Jin Jing had used witchcraft to manipulate Shing Shing, forcing her to drink cursed water that caused her to lose her mind. He insisted that Shing Shing's confession was unreliable because she was mentally unstable at the time. He further alleged that similar incidents had happened before when Shing Shing studied in New Zealand. According to him, he had once taken Shing Shing to see a psychiatrist there, and the doctor supposedly concluded that her condition was the result of being cursed by an evil Asian sorcerer. He also claimed that Chen Yi was aware of this and had even asked him to take good care of Shing Shing. Jizhong not only lied repeatedly about the case, but also displayed a shameless attitude throughout the investigation. Almost every police officer, judge, and prosecutor who dealt with him ended up being falsely accused by him. While in Taipei Detention Center, Jizhong took a small piece of paper measuring 2.8 inches long and 2.7 inches wide and forged a document by mimicking a judge's handwriting and signature. The fake document stated, "The defendant, Jizhong, must give the judge 10 million new Taiwan dollars." He then filed 24 separate complaints, accusing the judge of accepting bribes, submitting them to the Xinbei Judicial Bureau, the Taiwan High Court, the Supreme Court of Taiwan, and the Xinbei District Court. However, his tricks were completely useless. Instead of achieving his goal, he was sentenced to 3 years and 8 months in prison for defamation. To delay the trial, Jizhong resorted to countless stalling tactics. For example, when police escorted him from the holding cell to the courtroom, a walk that should have taken only 2 minutes, he deliberately dragged it out to 20 minutes. Later, he suddenly demanded that the court summon 2 American witnesses, claiming that they had seen him trick the makeup artist. One of the strangest events in this case occurred in 2014, when Shing Shing and Jizhong, both still in prison, decided to get married on Mother's Day. When Tai Jinjing learned of this, he was furious, scolding his daughter, "You murdered your mother on Mother's Day? How could you be so heartless?" Despite their heinous crimes and complete lack of remorse, both of them escaped the death penalty. In the first trial, Shing Shing was sentenced to life in prison, while Jizhong was sentenced to death. However, this ruling was overturned by the Taiwan Supreme Court, arguing that Jizhong's potential for rehabilitation still needed further evaluation. During the appeal trial, the court noted that Jizhong had a good academic record in college and had achieved military accomplishments before retiring as a major. Because of this, the court ruled that he was not beyond rehabilitation and reduced his sentence to life in prison. Many found it incomprehensible that a man over 50 years old was spared execution simply because he had been a good student in his youth. At the time, Taiwan's Minister of Justice, Luo Yinghui, sarcastically remarked, "So from now on, if someone excels academically, does that mean they can do whatever they want?" And with that, this case came to an end. While reviewing the case files, one statement from Shing Shing stood out. When the police asked her what she saw Ji Zhong as, she replied, "He is my God." Psychologists analyzed this response, concluding that the so-called God in her eyes was actually a symbol of salvation. Shing Shing always saw herself as a victim and had a deeply negative outlook on life. To her, Ji Zhong was the person who had saved her. Since her parents were busy taking care of her sick younger brother, Shing Shing grew up lacking parental affection. At 18, she moved to New Zealand, completely alone in a foreign country, where she met a man more than a decade older than her, a former soldier, just like her father. Perhaps because she had never truly felt a father's love, Shing Shing saw a reflection of her father in Ji Zhong. This led her to develop deep emotional dependence on him, listening to his every word. In her eyes, Ji Zhong cared for her and loved her more than her own parents ever did. To her, he was her lover, her family, her everything. For him, she was willing to betray the entire world. Ji Zhong exploited this blind devotion, constantly brainwashing her, telling her, "Look at this. Your parents won't even give you money. They clearly don't see you as their daughter." Through relentless manipulation and psychological conditioning, Shing Shing gradually stopped seeing her parents as her real family. Eventually, she agreed to Ji Zhong's plan and became his accomplice in murdering her own mother. Who knows how Shing Shing and Ji Zhong have changed while serving their prison sentences? And one chilling question remains. If they are ever granted parole, will they inherit Chen Yi's assets? Just the thought of it sends shivers down the spine. So, what do you think about this case? Leave a comment and share your thoughts. If you enjoyed today's video, follow my channel for more. See you in the next episode.